Okay, so now that we've created our front and back torso sloper and cut them out in oak tag, we're going to create our jacket slopers. Okay, we're going to start with our front jacket sloper, and this is based off of your front torso sloper. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to add more fullness into here, so making the neckline bigger, armhole bigger, and adding width to it. If you think about jackets and coats, they go around whatever you're wearing, okay? So if you're wearing a sweater, you don't want a very tight jacket or coat, you want something that's a little bigger, okay? So you can comfortably maneuver inside of it, all right? So whatever you're wearing on the outside needs to be bigger than what you're wearing for your first layer. So you're going to start with your front torso sloper, and I want you to trace this off and create a working pattern out of it. Okay, here's my working pattern that I've created. Notice I have all the darts and all the information on here. What we're going to do is we're going to prep this first before we put it on our paper and create the pattern from it. The first thing I want you to do is come down to the apex, and we're going to move the apex. So remember this red line where it's intersecting this black line, that's my apex. We're going to move the apex towards the side seam 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so let's just measure off right there. I'll scribble that out. That's my new apex. Okay. Now we're going to put in some slash lines. All right, and these are the lines where we're going to add the fullness into the neckline and into our armhole. I want you to measure off. Here's my center front and neckline. I'm going to measure off 1.5 inches from there, right along the neckline from center front. And I'm going to put a mark right at neckline, like so. And I'm going to connect that mark right there to my new apex. So let's add that in. So, and now for our slash line at armhole, we're going to measure down 3 inches from our shoulder line on the armhole and make a mark and connect that mark to your new apex as well. Alright, there we go. So now, cut yourself a piece of pattern paper about the same size as used to create your torso pattern. On your white piece of pattern paper, on the side closest to you, draw a line the length of the paper, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches up from the edge of it. Okay, this is your placement line. Remember, when we start a pattern, we never want to start at the edge of the paper. We always want to base it off of our own perfected line. There we go. Now take your torso pattern, put center front right on that placement line, and let's get our balance line. This balance line will come off of our placement line at a 90-degree angle. It will match up with our waistline. I'm going to mark each side of my waistline right like so. And draw in that balance line. This will keep our pattern nice and balanced. Alright, there we go. So now take your working pattern, now you've done that. Before we tape this down, right where the apex is, flip it over and put a piece of tape. Okay, we're going to do a bunch of slashing into that area, and this will keep your pattern from disintegrating. We're basically going to make a common hinge here, and it'll keep it from disintegrating and falling apart as we do that. Or hopefully should keep it from disintegrating. Alright, line the center front of your pattern up with that black placement line, and then your waistline up with the balance line. Once you've done that, go ahead and tape the pattern down right along center front. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is on the neck slash line, go ahead and slash down from neck to apex, but not through apex. Remember, we're making a hinge. There we go. Now the armhole placement, our slash line, go ahead and slash through there to apex. And now where is the fullness going to come from that we're going to be adding into armhole and neckline? It's going to come from our side bust dart. So let's slash down one of the dart legs. Okay, not the center fold line, but dart leg. And I'm going to slash through the tip of the dart to apex. There we go. Alright, so now let's just gently fold these two pieces, or slide those two pieces over. We're going to start here at the neckline. Okay, at neckline here, the slash mark, we're going to measure in 1/4 of an inch, okay, or measure out 1/4 of an inch. So right along your slash line, right where it intersects with neckline, I'm going to draw a mark 1/4 of an inch out from that slash line. Now let's bring this in, and I'm going to bring the other side of that slash line to that mark I just made. There we go, so it lines up here at intersection of the slash line and neck. And then let's tape that down. Okay. So that was 1/4 of an inch. Here at armhole, we're going to do 1 more eighth and 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to add 3/8. So right here where the slash line intersects with armhole, measure off your slash line 3/8 of an inch and mark. There we go. Now bring this up until it touches, till the intersection of armhole and slash line touch that mark right there, and tape that down. Okay, and let's put a piece of tape here where our dart, you notice we've closed our dart almost halfway, not quite, so put a piece of tape there. Now with your tracing wheel, I want you to mark the dart legs, not your center line, but your dart legs. Now think about this, we just closed this dart about almost halfway, just under halfway, okay? So here's one of your original dart legs, and then this other leg that I slashed down right here, that's my other dart leg, okay? Never mind the center fold line, that is no longer the center fold line, okay? So I'm going to mark with my tracing wheel this dart leg, the new one, and then this original dart leg. Okay, there we go. We can also transfer on here our new apex. So let's just go ahead and tee off where that is. If you have an awl, you can also just make a point. Okay, there's my new apex. I'm also just going to mark these notches while I'm here to make it easier. So the one 2 inches above my hem, directional notch at armhole, and then the one I have on my shoulder line. Now I'll use my awl. Now I'll use my awl, and I'm going to mark my waist, closed-ended waist darts. I'll mark the tips, and then the intakes, and the center line at waist, and the bottom dart tips. Okay. The last thing we're going to do is trace off around the outside of our working pattern. So go ahead, and I'm going to start at hem. Alright, now I think we got all our information. I believe we did. So now we can go ahead and remove our working pattern. So let's just carefully untape it. Okay, and then we can put that aside for now. Don't throw it away in case you need to come back to it, but we should be done with it. Alright, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and perfect this. There's a few things we need to do. Because remember, we're making this larger. Okay, so at our intersection of center front and neckline, let me just write center front right here. Okay, at intersection of center front and neckline, we're going to lower the neckline 1/8 of an inch. So go ahead and measure off 1/8, like that, and mark. At intersection of neckline and shoulder line, we're also going to go in 1/8 of an inch. And we're going to go up 1/8 of an inch. So I'm measuring off my shoulder line 1/8 Okay, and I measured it in 1/8 at neckline. All right, so I've made this is going to make my neckline bigger, and also we're bringing up our shoulder, so we can put a shoulder pad in there or have more room for whatever garment we're wearing underneath. Okay, here at intersection of armhole and shoulder, we're going to bring the shoulder up 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to bring the armhole out 1/4 of an inch. Moving down to intersection of side seam and armhole, we're going to move our side seam out 1/2 an inch, and we're going to move the armhole down 1/2 an inch. Okay, and then here at side seam, we're going to go out 1/2 an inch. Like so. All right. So now we can start truing. All right. So here at center front and neckline, remember we're going to square out 1/2 an inch, and I'll start using my black marker to show you the finish. Square out 1/2 an inch, mark, and now I'll take my curve ruler. Take your curve ruler, and remember you have this mark right here for your new neckline. So I'm going to put 1/2 inch, and blend into the 1/2 inch mark, and to this mark. So just find the best curve that works for you, and draw that in. Okay, remember to draw the line longer than you need it. Now with my straight ruler, I can connect. Remember I raised up 1/8 of an inch here, and then 1/4 of an inch here. I'll connect this intersection to this intersection, creating my new shoulder. There we go. This is the new shoulder line. I'll put in this notch. And now here I have a new armhole. So either with your curve ruler or your French curve, we can draw on this new armhole. So we're going to connect this line, this lower line here, up to this outer line here. And let's find a good curve that works. I think that one may do it. It's going to blend right in there. Okay, and I'll make sure I get my directional notch, like so. Okay, so now you can start to see the difference between the red and black lines and how we're growing, making this larger. All right, let's find our dart. Okay, so we have the beginnings of 2 dart legs at side seam, one right here and one right here. We have apex right here. There's my apex. Find the center point between your 2 dart legs at side seam. I have 1 1/16". You may have a different measurement. Okay, so but if you do have 1 1/16", that'd be 1/2 and a 32nd would be the center of it right there. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to connect that center point to apex. This will become the fold line of my side dart here. And now from apex I'm going to measure away 5/8 of an inch on my center line. And now I can connect my darts to this point, which is the tip of my dart, creating I can create those marks at side seam, or I can connect the marks at side seam to the dart tip, creating the dart legs. There we go. There's our new side bust dart. You can see it is smaller compared to our old one. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and draw in our side. Okay, we're moving it out 1/2 inch all the way. All right. So right here I can do a little bit of my curve remember we have this notch that's 2 inches above my hemline. Let me actually perfect the hem of this first. Okay. And then I have that notch that's 2 inches above him, so we'll put that in. Like so. And I know I'm moving out side seam a 1/2 inch, so I'll put a mark right here. So I'm going to put my ruler, my 1/2 inch mark, right there at side seam on the waistline. And I can mark that, like so. Let's do our dart first. So remember, we want to fold our dart out. We're going to trace off the dart leg closer to him, or to waistline, which is the lower one, because we want our seam allowance of our dart to fold towards the hem. And I'm going to fold off, or trace off, the center fold line of that dart. Let's go ahead and, at the dart tip, fold under. And now crease the dart leg closer to the waistline. And close that dart. Okay, piece of tape there holding that shut. There we go. Okay, now I can draw in, because I'm going to curve this. I'm going to draw in just in red for now. Remember, I measured out a 1/2 inch from my waist, right on the waistline. And that's that black mark. Right. I'm going to go ahead and connect this 1/2 inch mark to the waistline. I'm doing this in red because I'm probably going to change this just a little bit. And let's see if this works. I'm going to try using my curve ruler here. And if I place 11 at that notch 2 inches up, and bring out this larger part of the curve until I touch the mark that's at waist, should get the same curvature as I had before. That looks good. Now, I don't want this to be too tight of a curve, so I'm going to, again, place one at my waist line, and then just blend those 2 points together right in there. That looks good. Now I will perfect this using my black marker. And this curve as well. Okay, so 11. And there we go. One more thing to do before we open up that dart. We need the new dart opening, what that's going to look like. So you can see the shadow of my dart seam allowance through the paper. It's folded down like it should be. I'm going to trace over my new side seam where the dart seam allowance is folded under using my tracing wheel. And now I can open that up, and that will give me the shape of my dart intake. There's the perforations of it. Okay, so let's draw those in. There we are. Okay, we have one thing left to do here to finish this, and that is add in our darts. They stay the same. So I have all my punch marks from my awl. I'm just going to connect those all. I'm going to connect them to create my darts. So there's the first fold line of one dart. And here's the second one of the other dart. Looks good. And I'm going to tee off to get the tips of my darts. And then here are the markings for the dart intake at waist. And let's go ahead and connect those. There we go. So, we're almost done drafting this. We just need to put some information on here. Alright, so this is our jacket. Front. Sloper. It's a size 10. Put your name and the date. Okay. You've just now successfully drafted your front jacket sloper.